In this video, we are talking about whether walking is a good idea for losing weight. We will talk about activity level, the changing workforce, desk jobs, your health, and then we're going to talk about whether walking is a good idea among some of the most successful weight losers on the planet. This is the 5th video in our Fat Loss Framework series. We're kicking off the idea of exercising for weight loss, and we're starting with one which has a really interesting evidence base, which is walking. So let's kick it off. Activity level. One of the most poorly understood things about when people are trying to lose weight is just how different our energy needs are. And the biggest single driver of this variation in energy needs is your activity level. Now, activity level is very complex, but basically it comes down to your genetics, your posture, what type of job you have, how much you move around, how many steps you take generally. All these things that you do outside and beyond formal exercise determine how much energy you expend over the day. And the variation in people's activity level, so the total amount of energy relative to their basal metabolic rate, some people have an activity level of 2.5, which means they have tons of calories to play with. Other people have an activity level of like 1.2, 1.3, super stagnant, makes it very, very hard to lose weight. And walking is one of the fundamental ways in which we can increase our activity level, our energy expenditure over the course of the day, and make it that little bit easier to lose weight. So that's activity level. Understand that it's extremely, extremely important, and there's lots of things determining it over the course of your day. Something that's really important is just your job. I'll throw up a really basic graph now comparing, using some numbers from average activity factors of a desk job, a job where people are standing around and walking, and then a really physically laborious job. And you'll see how they affect the activity level and how there's such a big deal. So if you sit all day, 8 hours a day in a desk, you're a graphic designer, you're an accountant, you don't move, it's really going to diminish your energy expenditure and it's going to make it harder to lose weight. If you've got a super physical job, if you're on a construction site, you're laboring, then it's going to make it a lot easier because you've got more energy to play with. You can see also that the workforce has been changing over the years, so the actual the amount of energy expended in a normal 8-hour shift has been declining as we've moved more and more into desk-based jobs. So it's basically just the onset of computers, more stagnant workforce. And it's not the biggest deal, it's only a few hundred calories, a couple hundred calories, but weight loss and weight gain happens at the margin, so it does add up over time. Another thing that's important to understand is the difference between when you're trying to expend a bit more energy by being more active. There's a big difference between standing and walking. I'm just going to show this here. You often see people kind of promoting standing desks like they're really going to improve your energy expenditure. But when you compare standing to walking, you'll find that the process of walking is when we really start to fight gravity, as it were. So that's how you're really going to add to your energy expenditure. And it's a really clever way to do it because sometimes when we exercise, we naturally are less active in the rest of the day. So our net change to our total energy expenditure when we exercise through cardio or strength isn't as high as we would expect. Whereas when we add it to our NEAT, our non-exercise activity thermometer, by just walking more, that tends to have a bit more of a robust effect on our energy expenditure. So that's why we're interested in walking, and we're particularly, much more interested in walking than we are in standing, as you can see in the net changes in energy expenditure. So walking more is going to add over the course of the day to your energy expenditure, whereas standing won't do so much. In terms of health, another argument for walking more is just the problems of sitting constantly. It's just really bad for your body. Spending entire periods, 8 hours of your day sat in the exact same position is very challenging on your body. So if you have the opportunity to get up and walk just a very small difference, have a morning break to get a coffee. If you can leave the office to walk somewhere to get your lunch, if you can then get a very small, these are just 5-10 minute walks, but if you break up an 8-hour kind of desk job with very small walks throughout the day, this can really help, not just with your energy expenditure, but with your insulin sensitivity, the blood flow, your just general health, your posture, all types of things will benefit from getting out of that desk whenever possible. Standing meetings, whatever you can do. And then finally, this is the true argument for the benefit of walking if you're trying to lose weight. In America, they have this something called the National Weight Control Registry, which is a database of some of the most successful weight losers in the world, and it's 10,000 plus people. On average, they've lost 66 pounds and kept it off for 5.5 years, so 30 kilos. And this is a graph that shows how they expend energy when exercising, and you'll see very clearly the primary type of exercise that they do is walk blocks. Very, very simple walking blocks. And with my clients, I actually often start with walking because it's the most accessible. You know, if you're 350 pounds and you're trying to start into losing some weight, just start walking. Start walking because, you know, high intensity interval training, it's going to be tough. You know, heavy weights, great if you can do it, but just walking is so accessible. There's no barrier to entry. You just need to start. It's very, very simple. And it has a fabulous evidence base, not just for losing weight, but for keeping weight off in the long run. So walking is absolutely fabulous exercise when you're trying to lose weight, and particularly in the long run when you're trying to keep weight off. The idea of adding a daily walk, if you can add a daily 5-minute walk, turn it into a 10-minute walk, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. If you can walk 30 minutes each day, that will have profound effects on your body. If you add a 30-minute walk each day and then are able to sustain it, your ability to keep weight off in the long run your chances of doing that go through the roof because it has such a fabulous evidence base and it's so good for your health. So walking is absolutely fabulous. Let us move on to cardio in the next video.